What's up, boss? How you doing, man?
What's up?
How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Just another day.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
Oh yeah. That's good, man. You said you were doing like a job sometime soon, right?
Yeah, I'm doing a job. Well, actually, I might be doing a job tomorrow, and that came in last minute tomorrow on Sunday, and then I have a um job Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
This upcoming,
Yeah, this upcoming.
right before Christmas.
Yeah.
Is that part of why they hit you up?
It's a pool. It's a company that installs pools, and it's one of their office spaces.
Okay.
So I'd assume they just want to get the turnover during a time period when it's not as busy inside of there.
Right. 100%. Well, I know we had spoke last time. There's just a few things I wanted to kind of go over and show you. It's sort of, I just am able to show you a little bit more visually on here
Right.
since we talk about a lot of stuff. And then, like I said at the end, I actually have like more so it's hold on one second. More so it's like your process actually. And then there's some stuff in here you'll see as we kind of go through that, but there's some stuff that is like what you should do technically, like I said. So but yeah, if I just kind of run through this, like I said, this is essentially the process that you're looking at right now. And I'll try my best to make it make sense, but you probably know because it's what you've told me
Right.
already
Right.
or what we've talked about. But essentially, you know, it might not be the easiest to read, but I'll try to make it make sense. But
Yeah.
always there's a start to your process, right? And the first things that you're going to be looking at is where are those lead sources coming from. You and I had talked about marketplace, paid ads previously, and then a little bit about your SEO. I had sent you that report, and we, mentioned there was the listings issue. If I recall right, you can let me know if I'm right or wrong, but the ads issue was just paying for a lot of ads, um, and not really getting any jobs or estimates out to through that, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then same thing with marketplace. The issue right now is that not necessarily quality, but that you're not getting anything through.
Quality. Yeah. Honestly, as soon as we talked, marketplace started picking up out of nowhere.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I don't know. So I guess like it's real finicky like that.
Yeah, definitely. It always kind of will be. It's the same. I mean, SEO kind of works the same way too. Like you're at the will of you know, just people coming in. So if they're not looking on marketplace, they're not gonna see anything.
Right. Right.
So um one of the big things, like I said, this would be something that's suggested that you aren't actually doing right now, which would be tracking it. Well, you're not tracking it in the CRM, right? Or not everything.
No, honestly, I'm not. I don't stay that organized in there.
Okay.
As I should be.
Yeah, definitely. And so, technically, once it's tracked, if it is in the CRM, the lead would actually enter into the system and then it follows through the rest of the process. But right now, you're actually doing all of the manual handling. There's no system tracking or support, right? And so that ends up being a leak because you're the one that ends up handling everything.
Right.
And then there's a second leak or third leak, so to speak, that happens if you're handling everything and like a lead comes in, whether it's market, like what we talked about in specific was marketplace. If they're not qualified, there's not consistent follow-up that happens on those leads. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so that goes further into, you can see a little bit here, but it tracks all the way down here to like kind of where the revenue loss is coming into play. But um I wanted to go back up here. I think the other thing that you had mentioned is that like sometimes you have like you pull in your girlfriend, I believe you said, to be
Yeah.
follow up. And
Yes.
just something on that, man. If you, again, if I remember right, you said you guys were doing maybe like 2 or 3 extra on that point, at that point.
Yeah, correct.
But bro, I mean, you can look it up, and like, it's not just, this isn't my stat necessarily. My
Right.
stat is actually higher, but if you look it up, people do a lot of research. People way smarter than me do research and check numbers and stuff like that. But just in general, like across every single industry in America, um, follow up usually it actually takes about 7 to 8 touches, like follow ups, basically, for you to be able to sway people and close them. So, like, you can just kind of use your imagine, if you're,
I mean, I definitely know that. It's just like with everything going on, it's almost like two or
yeah.
three, and I don't have a system in place, so I have to personally do that, right? So
Right, exactly. And
it's like, oh, I just didn't have the time to. So
that's kind of the point of what I'm showing you here as well. So that way we can identify all of those things in your process that are making you lose money. Like, and you, like you said, that it's happening, which is fine. But sometimes we just have to kind of like look at it and see it. You know what I'm saying? Like right here, that's what I kind of said on this side, is that um really there should be a consistent follow up. And then also in that process, like the first step is when the leads come in and you're talking to them, you should actually be trying to qualify them. And I think we spoke about that as well. If not,
yeah, no, yeah, definitely did.
something that I talk about a lot. But you know, again, if they're unqualified, that's where a huge leak is, because like you said, you can only do so many. And what my point was there is that, like, in the epoxy world, I actually see that follow up uh sort of touch a little bit closer towards like 10 to 12 follow-ups. But even then, if you're doing like 2 or 3, you can imagine it's like, what you guys are doing, you actually need to increase that output by like 3 or 4 times to
Right.
be on
And
point.
my other thing is, from what I understand about that whole side of things too, is, um, like those touch points can be hit in different ways.
Yeah.
Whereas like almost if I call someone 12 times, they might be like, "What? Why are you calling me 12 times?"
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, there's other issues that are happening beforehand. Like, you shouldn't really, if you're trying to call somebody 12 times, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, either your leads are really messed up, or you're just like not following a process. You really shouldn't be doing that anyways. But yeah, definitely. Me in particular, it really just comes down to text messages and phone calls. My system, like, again, I'll show you what should be happening in this process, but my system actually supports you in your follow up. It can't close deals for you, but it's a lot more. I've specially crafted, dude. I've been doing this stuff with the epoxy guys for 2.5 years now. So I know what these leads are objecting to. And I actually, in my follow-up, I actually handle those objections proactively. So that way we can just kind of move through stuff, and it makes the follow-up a lot more effective. But at the same time, like, I still need you guys, or whatever it looks like, whether it's you or you hire a salesperson and they are managing some of this or whatever. But somebody actually has to call leads too. My automations help a ton with you guys closing. But like, and this is where, so I mean, this is part of the process that I was talking about, is that if you're having to call a lot of leads and try to close them and follow up, it's because you're probably not actually closing on site. So it's a process problem that is causing, massive other problems later on. If you have, usually when you have a problem, there's something that came before that you're missing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Right.
but this is what I look at for you guys, and try to round out for you guys. We didn't actually cover this, but based off of what I'm assuming, the next step is, again, once the leads are qualified, whether they come in, again, we've identified that the follow-up might not be happening, the systems and organization might not be proper, but you're still going on site. And I'm assuming it was you. That's what I was going to say is it's you that is doing the,
Yeah, I always go on site, and I try to make like I know like I always try to make it to almost maybe too much set an in-person estimate, even if I'm like, like I tried qualifying them like through text, and they seem kind of on the fence. Uh, I think like maybe in person, I'll be able to maybe sell them easier, but
yeah.
it's not gross. So I do definitely like to go on site, and it's always me pretty much at the moment.
Definitely. And I mean, um, again, this is a lot of the stuff that I help with, but when you start tracking this stuff, you can kind of you can test that a little bit better. You can say, hey, let me spend like a couple of weeks just not automatically running on site, but just having a conversation with people before I schedule it to make sure that they're even comfortable with the prices before I go. And then
Right.
when you go, see what happens, see what your close rate looks like and what your objections look like at that point once you're kind of getting ahead of that. And then you can always if that's working really good, you don't have to switch back, but then you can always switch to a different mode where you're um just kind of go into all of them and see how that works. But I can almost guarantee you, I think yesterday I posted a bunch of content about it, but I was specifically talking about that. Like I was talking to a guy that was saying that he, runs ads and he puts like a 2000 minimum budget in his ad forms saying like, hey, our lowest jobs are this much. But then when he goes on site, he like schedules on sites and then he gets there and he was saying that they were saying that they were expecting like $1,000, like very cheap job. And I was
Yeah. Yeah.
like something is going wrong in the middle there. You need to like tell them, get on the phone with them before you schedule and tell them the actual cost. And instantly solves that whole problem. You
Right.
won't go in to people unless they already know because you already told them before you went. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No. Definitely.
So, but you have to be able to track all of this to be able
It's
to,
just kind of like narrowing down your pool
yeah,
in
which
a
you
sense.
should,
You are.
which you should do, dude. Like, there's I talk to more people in the epoxy industry that I won't work with. Me, I choose that not to work with those guys more than there are guys that want to work with me,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
sometimes it's scary, but if you if you don't set those limits, man, like yeah,
Your
if you
time is getting destroyed if you're not.
exactly. Exactly. And I don't know if you've experienced it, bro, but like the people that kind of give you the runaround on like cheaper job, like sometimes doing that, like, hey, I'm not gonna work with anybody that won't at least pay $2,000 for my cheapest products. Like it doesn't matter how small the job is, you're paying 2,000. Like it's gonna cut out a lot of, like I said, it's scary, but it's also gonna cut out people who are gonna like shortchange you guys and like
Yeah.
ask you if you can do the jobs, but they'll send you referral. There's like
Yeah. Of course. Oh yeah.
you deal with a bunch of cheap people. So if you set it up where you're like, well, I won't work with those people, like then those aren't your customers anymore, and you can let. But dude, these are conversations that the epoxy industry is not ready to have. Usually, I try to, but guys are not ready to talk about.
I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like this is just. I mean, in a sense, it's common sense.
but we get scared.
Yeah. But yeah, fear, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, damn, I don't know when my next job is. I should just take this one. And it almost always shoots you in the foot when you do that, man. Like I've seen it a billion times. So, but yeah, so then you would be on site, you do the measurements. I don't know. Some of my guys just offer one price. So like, for example, if somebody wants a flake floor, they reach out to you for a flake floor, you go and you give them a quote for a flake floor. That's
So my strategy is starting to be, um, I won't have a tiered flake floor system. Like I guess I will in a sense of like maybe you know a 25-cent difference if there's going to be a moisture vapor barrier or something like that. but
Right.
also offering, like, my background was in polishing first. So offering that, and then as well as um I'm going to learn metallics in February, so
Right.
I want to get better at that before I, obviously offer that. So I do want to broaden my horizons of what I'm offering, but that the tier systems I'm kind of trying to get into as I slow down, by offering like different levels.
Yeah, dude,
To
that's
see my
exactly.
margins right, even if they want a lower cost job, it and I'll say, okay, I can do that. Says I can do that something for that price, but it's not going to be what this system. It would be this system.
Yeah, exactly, bro. It gives you like it really gives you guys if you're again, a lot of guys just don't want to change processes or do anything, but you're on the right track. That's what it is. Like I said, most guys go and they're like, okay, you asked for metallic, I'm gonna give you a metallic quote and kind of give you a ballpark on those or something. But it's way more appropriate for you to do it that way, not with flakes, but like if yeah, do like a grind and seal or like a stain, but
Yeah.
the thing is to know what you should offer, you have to talk to the people on the on-site. But essentially, you should be doing that. Like, let's say somebody asks for a flake floor in their garage, but when you go, you end up talking to them, and you find through your discovery, you find out that maybe they actually might want a metallic, and if you didn't offer it and you only offered them the flake and then somebody else comes and does that, or you're gonna lose that job for sure.
Yeah, because I get like some people that ask for a metallic or inquire about a metallic that I
It's
know
more
I could
expensive.
probably move that way, but I have to kind of bottleneck them in my sales process to the flake system because I just not that I just haven't felt it yet, so I really want to master that before I start offering that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I kind of almost have to like move them towards the flake system. I even if that's not where they want to go,
right.
and but I really have no other choice. You know what I mean?
No, dude, it sounds like you're doing the right thing, but same thing. It's like, I mean, you can also do like a higher tier poly or like a flake with, like, you know, sell it with more thickness or something to
Yeah.
add on like a premium one and then like a lower tier one. But dude, I mean, even still, you don't have to do it. It just gives you, like we're talking about, more leeway. And again, it's just something, these are parts of the process that we can look at to again where we may be losing money and how can we recover some of that
And one thing I did notice too is like I've been trying to implement is that I have been implementing like the premium flake system and then like a standard flake system. And I think like well, something I saw on like a video is if you set like an anchor point with a higher system, it makes the system that you're really trying to sell look
better.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, dude, 100%, man. It there's a bunch of cool stuff you can do with that. But even outside of that, dude, I also am on the side of like, bro, I could tell you so much stuff, but I'm always on the side of like price anchoring a little bit differently. Like if you offer flake for like $5 per square foot, like you should actually start at like 8 and then like let them tell you that the price is too high,
Mhm.
and then when you do it at like 6, your low was already 5, so you're getting an extra dollar per square foot, and they feel like they're getting a deal by getting $2 per square foot off.
And honestly, I don't know. My family, like my girlfriend, she tells me to do that too. And honestly, I guess think because I was just getting started that I started lower. I
Right.
started at 6 and ended up getting 5. And that was all fear based, like thinking really, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, so I definitely see your point with that.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And I mean, I always use this example too of like a Lamborghini. Like I really like Porsches and Lamborghinis, but like, you know, the Porsche that I want, the base model is like 250K starting. So like if somebody came up to me and they were like, I mean, even not that crazy, if they're like, hey man, I'll sell you this brand new Porsche for like 20K. Can you like pay me? Like the first thought I'm gonna have is like, what is it stolen or like what's wrong with it? Well, how do you have it for 20K,
Yeah.
So like that's kind of the same thing that happens in the epoxy world. If like, especially if they already got a quote for like, imagine dude, there's this saying that says there's no competitive advantage in being the cheapest, but there is in being the most expensive. And it's because of this. It's like if I gave a quote to your customer for $8 and they were like pretty sold with me and I sounded really good, and then they get a quote for you for 6, like it's that instantly. They're like, well, why the hell did this other guy? And if you're not up to par, they're gonna wonder what's wrong. They're like, something's wrong. Why? That's why you're charging 6 and this guy's charging 8. Same thing. Like something's wrong with the 20K Porsche when I could go buy a brand new one for 250, and I know everything is okay. You know,
Right.
you see what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so
Definitely.
sometimes the pricing, dude. Like when I first started, I used to charge really low for my stuff because I wasn't confident too. But same thing. I'm like, get on these calls and I'm like, look, I can do all this stuff for your business, but it's like $200 a month. And they're like, what the fuck? Like, how,
Yeah.
dude, I can't even hire an employee for that cheap. Like, what in the world? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can kind of hurt yourself, but your pricing can hurt you a lot, honestly. But yeah, you said last time you sent the quote in Jobber, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you send that, like, are you standing there or do you leave?
Yeah. It's usually sent after. What I try to do in person is get them an exact price and, explain exactly what would be on Jobber. And I try to get them to like basically approve the quote before I even send it to them there. And then that's what I try to do. My goal is to be like, okay, now I'm just gonna send you the quote with all the information that we talked about. Once you approve that, like that's kind of what I try to do.
Right.
Because I do like, yeah, I do like to try to close them when I'm there. Maybe not the right way, but I do try to do that.
Well,
But there's sometimes where I get bottlenecked and I have to, send the quote.
right. I think that was exactly what my question was gonna be was why do you think you might be kind of doing it that way? Do you have an idea as to why you might be?
Uh,
I
just
think it's the
because
volume.
once I start talking to them about the process and why my system's different and all that, I kind of don't want to lose the conversation or there be a break in the action for them to kind of like think about things almost, so to
You
speak.
don't right. You don't let me hear if I'm hearing you right. You
Yeah.
don't want to give them enough of a chance to think about the price, the
Yeah, exactly.
process,
Yeah.
right? Because because what are they gonna do if they have that moment to think and they bring it up? What do you have to do?
I have to deal with the objections that they're giving me.
Yeah, you got to handle those objections, right? This is why guys do that is because you don't know how to handle it, so then you try to avoid it, and you're like, hey, let me try to get like a soft approval, and then I'll run, and then try to get you. And bro, this will shoot you in the foot. Every single one of my clients does that, and what you lose quotes dude, like conversion rates tank. Everybody's always bitching about, not, I'm sorry for cussing, but everybody's
Yeah.
always complaining about closing jobs. And then that's what they're doing. And it's like, bro, like if you came to my house and I wasn't sure and you left, like, good luck, man. I'm confused and I don't know what's going on. And like, you already left. I want to talk to you about it and what you're going to do. And then it's really hard. This is what I was saying is like, my texts come in and I try to kind of get in front of it. Like, hey, we sent you that quote. Like, was it the price? I just ask them, was it the price? And they're like, oh yeah. And some people will reply and they'll be like, yeah, I'm not doing it for that much. And then I'm like, hey, Austin, call this guy and talk to him about the margins. And hopefully you quote this or all tie in is like, hopefully you quoted them at like 8 or 7 and you can move them down to like 656,
Yeah.
right? And close the job one time there. But the real answer, like I said, is if you're having problems at that point, it's because you're not closing on site. So the real answer is to actually try to close on site and get in front of those objections. And bro, I can take this even further for you. It's like if you never learn how to handle objections like that, how are you ever going to hire a salesperson?
Right. Because I'm going to be telling them what to.
And you won't know how to.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how are you going to help them get better at sales if you don't know how to handle objections? you know?
And I would just teach them the way. I mean, if I had a salesperson before this talk, I would say, yeah, like try to before you even send the quote, try to get a soft close. So because that's what I try to do. I don't know, I know I don't know any better.
Right, exactly, exactly. So that's just something that we can always work on is not sending it later and setting up like an actual sales process when you go on site. You can set the expectations, you can tell them what's going to happen, measure, and then send them the quote in person and then start handling those objections in person and then close them obviously. And right now if there's same it's the same thing for you as new leads coming in. If you've sent quotes out in Jobber and they're not closing, it's probably a little bit easier to track it because they're in Jobber, like we talked about. But at the same at that same frame time, the problem is, like I said, if your margins aren't right and your quotes aren't right, your follow up isn't going to be that effective. Because if you're quoting at $5, you can't really go lower than that if your margins don't allow for it. So
Right.
going to be able to follow up effectively and actually, like, you're like, hey, I know I gave you the quote for $5, it's still $5, do you want to do the job? That's
Right.
work, you know but so that's a huge leak right there is, post quote follow-ups and everything. Obviously if they say yes, you would, I don't know if you use contracts, some of my guys do, some of them don't, but I can't.
I do depending on the job.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I can automate that for you. Like, the electronic DocuSign, I can load in contracts into my software. And then when people approve quotes, I can send you the contract. You fill in like a couple forms, a couple fields about like the square footage and the type of job and, warranty if you're going to offer one or not.
Right.
And it sends to the customer. So it's nice for you guys in case, a floor fails or whatever happens, I've had random stuff where customers have gotten pissed about like scheduling because of weather, so I've added a lot of stuff to these contracts and they're pretty foolproof. But
Right.
yeah, again, like I said, if you don't use a contractor, you don't want to send it. And that's what's actually cool. Like you said, like you're like on some of them I do. My system will send you the contract first and you have to fill it out to even send it. So you could kind of pick at that point. You're like, oh no,
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah, I'm not gonna do this one, but this one I actually do want to fill it out. So and that's I have it set to automatically do that because the only other option is just to send them. So and that doesn't work either. Um, but and this is something else we didn't really talk about, but tracking your profit margin. This is really good just in general, but also
Yeah, I mean, I just like I I'm pretty good at it, except it's in my head. So that's my, you know what I mean? I don't have it actually out on paper,
right.
which obviously I need to do.
Right. Yeah. And you can do it at different points too. And like I said, same all of this stuff I'm talking about, it's like I can send you notifications like, hey, that job is done now, like calculate the hours and the materials, including like mess ups or whatever. And then you can like insert that information to track it. You'll get those
Yeah.
emails to do it. Um,
Yeah.
same thing as just scheduling the job, you do the job. Sometimes guys are not, checking
George.
like the kind of experience that people are having while you're doing the job. Sometimes guys just get in and get out. Same thing, like no quality check if you have a team. You technically would want, like a project manager to be able to do quality. Um, Same thing like expectations and updates. Updates isn't really relevant for most of us in the epoxy space because the jobs are kind of fast and you guys are there. But the expectations, like when you schedule a job, I do send out expectations to the customer, and then that helps all of these things I'm talking about real fast right here. This all kind of helps with like the review side of things whenever they felt like you were communicating with them through the job that any mess ups were handled, um and that the expectations were set, they knew exactly what was going to happen before you showed up. We said this was going to happen, you guys did the job that way. they're going to be like, "Damn, this was good." And then when the project's complete, me and you talked about this a little bit last time, but I have automations that are based off of either like the invoices being paid in Jobber or the calendar job itself being completed. And I'll send you a notification saying, "Hey man, that job was done. Do you want us to ask for a review?" And you just say yeah in an email. You just reply yes.
Right.
And my system will actually text the customer, right? So and get those reviews. Now, if we aren't requesting reviews, me and you talked about this last time, that's also a leak for leverage in the future with like your SEO. One, you're not collecting those reviews, the Google profile. When people see those reviews, it helps you close jobs, but also it boosts people actually calling you, which I actually have in here. It's funny. But so like let's say we do collect the reviews, right? So we get a happy client and we collect the social proof, it gets posted, and then we get the SEO boost. Technically that's the end, but if you look, man, I have this one that comes all the way out. That goes all the way back up to the start, which is going to be this box on the left here, which is the SEO.
Right.
But yeah, if I go back down here, man, like I said, there's another step in here where we're not requesting referrals either. And then if referrals are requested, that would go into the referral, which just goes all the way back up to the top where they should actually, the referral should come back into the system. And then we start this process all over with, referrals, SEO, or actual ads and leads and everything. So
Right.
like I said, this is the outline of like what you're doing essentially. There might be some steps that you might not be doing or that were suggested, like getting everything into the CRM.
Right.
This is a little bit more of like what it should look like, just so you can kind of see that. I'll go through we already did everything, but
Yeah.
leads come in, and right now all of my leads go into a CRM. The tracking is automated. The pre-screening is actually automated where I ask for the budget, the type of flooring that they're wanting, and the timeline. Like when are they expecting to get it done? Next week,
Right.
next month, next year, next summer. If they are qualified, then my system actually automates the appointment booking for an on-site schedule. So as long as they've answered, yes, we have a budget, we know what type of floor we want, we know when we want it done, they're a qualified lead at that point. And then I schedule the job so you can go on site, right?
Oh, wow.
And then my calendar, when that appointment gets scheduled, my system will put that on like your Google Calendar, your iCal, whatever system you're using. And also, it doesn't happen yet. Basically, it's once you do that, but like Jobber can be connected, and so once the onsite is scheduled, you would go and run the onsite, and then this would be systematized where like I said, we start to systematize everything, so you're not doing everything, but you would go and do the measurements, and then you would send that estimate in Jobber. It's not automated here, actually. That's a different thing. But
Okay.
like I said, we had talked about multiple pricing tiers presented.
Yep.
I have a tool called Margin Guard. It's free. I post about it all the time. But use it like when you're in the car. Like if you go to your truck and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to put together these quotes real quick." You can actually pull that tool up and check your margins and make sure that that your profit is good to go. You send the quote, and then like I said, once you send that quote, you would in here, it's not in there, but you would actually try to close. And if you don't close, my system, if once you send estimate and Jobber, when you've seen them on site, my system can actually automate the follow-up sequences. And I do like a 3-day, 7-day, and 14-day follow-up, just kind of touching again, like price objections, if it was the timing, if they wanted different stuff. I have a lot of follow-ups, like I said. But obviously, if you close, you can see the contract gets signed. You start doing the job. When the job is actually done, we automate the reviews. Like we were just talking about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Same thing on my side though. If the customer isn't leaving the review, I actually follow up on the reviews too. I'm like, "Hey, it would really help us if you left that review."
Yeah.
you
'Cause
know.
I actually just went back and like texted past customers,
Uh-huh.
like for reviews or whatever,
Right.
and they're all like, "Oh yeah, like got compliments on this floor, blah blah blah." Yeah, we'll definitely review, and then that never gets left.
Right, exactly. So it'd be that's what I hope you're seeing there's a lot of things in this flow that either saves your time or it helps like the reviews are going to get you more closes through people seeing other people happy with your business, but also more SEO leads. Same thing with
So
this. It's like when my system is fully running, we can set up like a referral program and every time you get a customer, I can ask them to refer people and that will become more customers for you as well. And that's
okay,
all free, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But the point of all of that is to either like the sales stuff we were talking about, like closing on site, that's going to increase your conversion rate. Like having more reviews on your Google profile, that's going to increase your conversion rate. So no matter where your leads are coming from or how many leads you're getting, if you're getting a bunch from ads or SEO leads are coming in, all when you log all of this in, one, like I said, you save time, but two, you'll close more jobs, which just means more revenue. And me and kind of talked about it last time. We did like I was like over the last 6 months, like how much do you think that you're kind of leaving on the table? And like, yeah, through my projections, I was seeing like even on the low end, like 50K to 100K over 6 months worth of time. And
yeah,
it's kind of hard to quantify because what if you get like three referrals from one customer?
right,
That's a shitload of jobs compared. So like the money can be a lot different than that actually. Like honestly, I see guys when this is all locked in and you've got even just a little bit of SEO and your ads running, my guys are hitting like yeah, 80 to 100K months and when you're doing that every single month, that's like almost $1.5 million a year, like
yeah.
this is how you get to $1 million epoxy business 100%. So that's just like I said, that's what you're doing, what it really should look like. And I already kind of have all that built out. That's what this sort of shows
Yeah, I was reading through that a lot.
the roadmap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically from here, like my main question would be, you know, like I said last time, there's like one question that I'll ask you. And it's like, when you look at all of this stuff, do you want to set all of that up, set up all of the automations, figure out the ads, figure out all of that stuff by yourself? And how long do you think that might take you? And how much do you think that'll cost if it take you, a year, 2 years or something? But, or do you want help to do that? That would be my main question. That's kind of my only question for you. But if you want to work together, this is what that looks like. I send you an agreement. It's cancel anytime. I don't lock you guys into like contracts. So it's month to month and you can cancel whenever. But
Okay.
once you sign that, I send you an invoice, you pay that, I collect some data from you, and then I start building out your account. Once the account is built, it takes a few days to build it. I got to get a phone number, set up some website
Now
stuff.
I have a question
Yeah.
for you. I just switched my phone plan over, and I put two lines on there, and I get a third line and a free phone for
Okay.
free. My phone number is my personal number and my business number connected. I thought, if I'm remembering correctly, I saw you post somewhere, I believe, that the business number should be separate. I don't know if that was you or not. So my main question was, even though all my SEO stuff and all my past is on my personal number now, would it be worth it to change it over to a new number, or would that kind of mess things up?
It can be. It like I would say if me and you are gonna go all out and kind of like fix up everything that we need to, then it would be wise to fix it now instead of like later. Like if you fix all of your SEO stuff and then you change your phone number when it's going good, it's gonna hurt your SEO. But like I mean, I gave you that report and your SEO is not necessarily doing like the worst, but it's not doing the best. So right now would be the best time to kind of like walk all of that in. Now,
Okay.
it just kind of really comes up to preference. Like I have a lot of guys, like the guys I was just talking about that are doing the 80 to 100K.
Right.
Like it's a husband and wife, and the husband's in the field, and he does a lot of the install stuff, and the wife does a lot of the sales and office admin stuff.
Right.
And they have two phone numbers, but all of the website stuff is set to the wife's phone number. Now, what I'm talking about is that for like for my CRM to kind of have the capacity to use the texting stuff, I need a phone number in there. But that's just basically like a random phone number that is for the CRM's function. And what like if I do a whole lot of stuff and I post for you or something, and I can post that phone number, and when people call it, it goes directly to your phone. Like whether that's your personal, like right now you said it's personal work, I can
Yeah.
transfer everything to that phone. Or if you want to separate it, I can transfer everything to that phone so you kind of know a little bit more. Like to answer your question, the nice thing about separating stuff is that if the one phone rings, you kind of know it's business.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for me, it's like I never know. Yeah, like if it's all one, you won't really fully know. Now, as far as I'm concerned, like if I text a lead for you and then they call the phone number, when it dials to you, you will know that it's my system. I can set that up. So
Okay.
like you won't ever be confused on if you don't do all of that and it's just your phone number and like slash business, if stuff is coming in from me, you'll have an identifier to know that it's coming from me. So I don't know if that helps.
No, yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, to where I mean, essentially we can do whatever. It's just a
Because the
matter.
other thing is, I mean, is I'd have to carry that phone around always too, and I was gonna carry my phone around always.
That's why I
So
mess with it.
yeah, I think it might be just best. I mean, they just gave me that deal, so I was like, oh, maybe I don't know, maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not, but it's probably best to not, honestly, especially if we can set it up to where it shows that it was coming through this pipeline, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely let you know. Like every time that somebody's calling, you can save the phone number as Jesse Lead or something, and you'll be like, "Oh, somebody from the system is calling. I need to
Right.
answer and do some work." But yeah, like I said, we just build your account. The automations, the pipeline, the CRM, get you a phone number for the CRM, and then when that's all live, I do an onboarding call when you're like, okay, I get I mean, we basically already went through all of it, but when you're like, okay, I fully understand, I'll get you like some documentation of how to, how to mark a lead as lost and stuff like that. And we launch everything. And then we have weekly check-ins. And I just basically get on a call with you and I'm like, hey man, system's been live for a week. Leads should be coming through. How are you feeling about it? Is anything confusing? Do you need help with this? And then we just kind of keep on going, like for example, let's say that you were working with a different marketing agency and we plugged in my system and then we notice I'm like, hey man, you're used to the system. Leads are coming in, you're marking things as lost, but like we can see this one bottleneck right here. What like me and you were talking earlier, it could be your sales process, it could be the leads, whatever that is. I find that for you, and I'm like, hey man, this is what I'm seeing. Like, and like I said, sometimes it's like, hey, you hired salespeople and they're effing up really bad, and we need to like get them some training and fix that. Or it might be like, hey, that marketing agency is bad, bro. Like, we got to fix that. And so it works kind of in favor if I'm doing your marketing as well, because it's me.
Right.
But yeah, this is basically the process. Like I said, is as long as you can answer those calls when they're coming in, as long as you can go on site or somebody, you can send quotes, you can take payments. The rest of it is, pretty much automated. Like I said, my follow up helps. And then you just got to get used to the system. And, so like that's the thing I would kind of ask is like, if you see this and you're like, okay, Jesse has this entire roadmap, like it's down to a T. This is the process that I've been doing with guys, like I said, to take them from, 30K to 100K. Do you feel like it's like you understand it and like you would be able to work through these different phases, get onboarded, have it launch, and then learn and work with me in the system to get to that level of success? Do you feel like that's reasonable for you, something that you would be able to do as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, like I said, like with all of this stuff, you know, the different processes, the changes and everything like that, like I said, that's my main question. Is it, do you want to try to do that on your own, or do you want to see if, do you want to have me help you do all of that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, definitely want to have you help me. I mean, it would take so much time just to actually figure all this out on my own. It's
Right.
almost like impossible to do both. You know what I mean? Unless, I mean, maybe someone who's savvy with this stuff and knows how to install epoxy floors on the chance, but like obviously I don't.
I I've
And,
never seen a
yeah,
sequence.
exactly. You don't. It's not because it's not a thing. It's not real.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that's where I'm at, and also, I'm what I am good at is following like if there's a clear laid out thing, and I'm good at following the tasks that need to be done in that. Um. So yeah.
Yeah, dude. I think you'll, I think you'll knock it out of the park, man. Like once we start locking in the process, you know, I know the next steps that we all have to go through, it in the ongoing and stabilizing process. And I think you're pretty receptive, and I think you'll be able to do it too. So do you have any questions about that process, or like, do you have any hangups about like changing anything in the like sales presentation or anything like that? It sounded like you said you were pretty good with all of that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm sure I'll have some questions like throughout the process.
Right.
Just like yeah, but at the moment, I don't think I have anything.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, it sounds like I said, it sounds like you've got a good head on your shoulders, and like you're very receptive to the process. So, like I said, as long as we follow this, we'll be good to go, man, and you'll be off to the races. So, yeah, if everything sounds good, bro, I'll send you that invoice or the agreement. And like I said, yeah, it's just that setup fee, and then yeah, rocking and rolling.
That works.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, if you don't have any other questions for me, I'll get that sent over to you. And it was really good to talk to you, man. And either way, I look forward to working with you. And like I said, um I will send you this information, this board, so that way you have it. I mean, even in for future reference, or like I said, if you're like, you know what, never mind, I'm not gonna work with Jesse, at least you'll have this still. So
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't know what to do.
awesome, man. Awesome, bro. Well, yeah. Let me know if you have any questions. And like I said, when we get off this, I will shoot that.
That agreement you're sending me though, that has the invoice in it too, right?
Yeah, it does have it. It has it all in it. Like right as soon as you're done signing it, it'll ask you to do it. I mean,
Okay.
if you're ready to do it,
Yeah.
whenever it pays, it'll let me know, and then I'll send you a form to collect some business info so I can
Okay.
set up your account, and I can start that like today. So
All right, that works.
awesome, man. Awesome, man. Awesome, dude. It was great to talk to you. Yeah, and I'll shoot that over to you right now.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome. I'll talk to you here in a minute.
All right.
All right. Bye, Austin.